Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Tac Talk podcast with your boy Harry13 and the maestro from Brazil himself, Claudio.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everyone. It's Claudio here.
How you doing, Claudio? Is everything all good with you today?
Oh, everything's fine, man. How about you?
Yeah, good. Claudio and I have both been pretty busy. I've been fortunate. I've got a new job in the pipeline, so looking forward to that. But it's the past few weeks have came with a lot of time and effort into the job hunt. So yeah, now I'm finally getting my free time back again, so I can start really getting into Magic and really get into this new format and how it's going to impact the new set. Sorry, and how it's going to impact Pioneer. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk about the new cards. Basically, Claudio will be taking a lead in the podcast this week. I'm basically here to follow with him, and we will have discussions on each card we think's interesting, and give you a kind of insight into how we think they might impact the metagame that will unfold.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. It's one of the exciting times in Magic. The new set is here. We have a lot of cards to talk about, probably.
Yeah, and Claudio's got a tasty brew in the works as well that we will have an article on it this week at some point, probably this weekend in the Patreon as well for you. So all our Patreon listeners, once again, thank you very much for staying loyal to our Patreon. And if you haven't already, then feel free. You can subscribe for as little as is it $5 a month?
Yeah, $5.
Yeah, for as little as $5 a month, you can subscribe to our Patreon, and we post a lot of exclusive content on a range of formats that I'm sure a lot of our listeners will be interested in, especially Pioneer. We always love writing and talking Pioneer, so there's plenty of
Yeah.
interesting articles there. And I'll be writing an article next week on a list that I think I'll be playing going forward. So yeah, let's go for it. Without further ado, Claudio, let's start the discussion on the new cards and what ones we're finding interesting.
Yeah, like my general opinion of the set is that the set is weak overall. The power level is pretty flat. But that also means a lot of cards can see play potentially. Like some are going to be really good for sure almost, but we have like a lot of potential cards here. So but
Yeah,
don't go into this expecting like you're going to find a lot of like high powered cards. I think Wizards is playing safe for the most part recently,
yeah, I agree. I mean, and I'm pretty
which is good.
thankful. Yeah, I'm pretty thankful about that because, you know, after War of the Spark, the core set, and then Eldraine, I really need a break from all these ridiculous cards that they posted. Like, I was getting really frustrated with them in that sense, and now, like, I mean, not to spoil it just yet, but some of the cards we'll talk about do feel very well balanced, and for like the mana value that they come,
Hmm.
the mana rate that their casting cost is. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about like interesting cards, but not necessarily ridiculously powerful cards that are just going to warp the format.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so we're going to go by rarity here. So I'm going to talk about like the cards I think can have an impact,
Yep.
and I'm going to be skipping like the rest because yeah. So I think the first one we can talk about here is Cemetery Protector.
Yep.
So 4 mana 3/4 flash. When like this is a cycle, the Cemetery guys. When it enters the battlefield, you exile a card from the graveyard, and whenever you play a land or cast a spell, if the card you exiled shares a type with that, you make a 1/1.
Okay.
So I think this card is pretty good because it's a really decent body, right?
Mhm.
And it kind of reminds me of Monastery Mentor in a way,
Mhm.
because let's say you're playing this in the sideboard of blue-white control.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
play
yeah.
this and you exile like a opt or a consider or something, and you start making 1/1s, and you don't have to tap out.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks quite nice, and I like the fact that you can exile a card from any graveyard. So
Yeah.
sometimes it can have synergies. I don't really
can hit a Phoenix if you need. So,
Yeah, however, obviously you're unlikely to cast more creatures in blue-white control, so
Yeah,
you're probably wanting to exile like a land or a non-creature spell, but can't really think of any. But if you absolutely need to, maybe trading with like a young pyromancer or like sometimes maybe like a Dreadhorde Arcanist and exiling the Croxa isn't such a bad rate for 4 mana. That's I'm just thinking about situations that are applicable here. So yeah, I think this card's nice. I like it.
You can also probably sideboard this or play this in a deck like the one I'm going to be writing the article about,
Yeah,
Greenlight
potentially.
Company.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like you're playing a lot of creatures, you with a Phoenix or a creature that died, and you have a decent attacker.
Yeah, exactly. No, this card definitely looks sweet, and I can
It
definitely see
feels
it.
just right, you know?
Yeah, yeah. For the mana cost of 4 mana, yeah, it feels like a good one. It feels like an interesting one for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think about Sorin, the new Sorin card?
Yeah, so if you can talk about that, Sorin the Mirthless. Yeah,
Mhm.
finally it feels like they gave Black for mana proactive Planeswalker.
Yeah, yeah, I like it a lot. I like it in vampires, obviously, right? But like, because the issue I had with vampires was the sideboard planeswalker Liliana. I just didn't think it was good enough. I felt like when I was playing
She's not good
vampires,
in all the situations, right?
yeah, and you don't want to really discard cards. You don't really have any ways to take advantage of the discard effect, right? Because you're always like stuck in hand with like I don't know, like a champion of
You're not
dusk.
fast enough to dump your hand,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it gets awkward.
And I think I think this card could easily be played in the main um as a depending it gives vampires more ability to be relevant in the meta if it changes away from creatures, because I felt like a lot of the time you had to play like loads of Kalitas, and I always hated the idea of playing more than 3 Kalitas max. Even 3 Kalitas I felt like was excessive, but now that you have something that can smooth your curve quite well, and Sorin the Mirthless is nice. Obviously, you need to get the
Yeah.
balance where you need to play like a critical mass of vampires, and obviously you're not going to play any less than 4 Sorin 3 mana, but maybe having access to even as little as like one in the main and one in the sideboard could be an interesting plan.
Yeah, like you said, I think I could see like this card moving from the sideboard and the main deck depending on the meta, because like you said, drawing Kalitas against a control deck is terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Against
It
a 4
does.
mana 3/4. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
yeah,
could also play this in the sideboard of blue black controller decks like that, right? I think it's somewhat decent.
yeah, it's just a standalone, isn't it? Because like, do you know what it does? It basically feels like it people's like when I was playing
It,
Blue Black Control, I was
mhm,
always even sometimes I was always tempted to play like a Jace Wielder or Mysteries almost,
mhm.
just to have a kind of like relatively cheap planeswalker that basically generated a lot of card advantage, and this card
Then
suits a
the
lot
nice thing
better.
about this, right, is that it's kind of good against control and aggro.
Yeah,
Because like against burn, you make like 2 3 life linkers, and that's
yeah,
kind of good. Yeah, I think this
exactly.
card is pretty decent. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like it a lot. I can see it. I think it will see play in a couple of decks for sure.
Yeah. So I kind of think that I like this card more than it's actually good, but I think I want to give it a mention. The
Yeah,
Enrica Domati, it's the Fermana vampire.
yeah, Enrica Donati. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get plant like it's another Fermana option for vampires, which is kind of rough.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
think this card has some things going for it. It's like pretty flexible. It kind of has an ETB.
Yeah.
So
So what's the transform effect is?
it turns into a 3/4 flying death touch lifelink creature, which is a pretty good body against aggressive decks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. and it's kind of this like it gives like Rankle vibes, I guess. Not
Yeah.
quite the same, like, but obviously its upside is like, you know, a lot of the effects are the you draw a card and lose one life is definitely much better than Rankle's ability, but obviously you're taking a big sacrifice initially with the 1/3 flyer body as opposed to 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean this card could be very, very good. The only reservation I have against it has is that it's a 3 toughness. And I feel like against Burn it's not really going to stand up that well. So
But I feel like the games play out in such a way where you're going to play this and they're not always going to have mana to kill it, and you can
yeah,
just flip it on your turn.
yeah, but I think the fact it
But
doesn't have
yeah, this card is sketchy for sure.
it doesn't even have haste either, which is huge. Like
Yeah.
I feel like Rankle has haste. It's just yeah, I'm not so high on this one. Actually, the more I think about it, the fact that it doesn't have haste is a big downside. And I think like resolving a 3/1/3 on turn 4, it's not really going to stand well against. I mean, if you're playing vampires, you don't really care about burn anyway, to be honest. But like, I'm not so sure. Not so sure in this one. But I mean, I can see a world where it
Yeah,
does get played. But
this card is kind of a middle of the road Kalitas actually. It's not
yeah,
so bad against control because it draws a card, but it's not as good against burn because it dies
yeah.
like instantly.
I mean, yeah. Basically, like if you get to flip it into the 3/4, then good job. You're probably winning. But like, don't know if it lasts that long. And the thought of like spending 4 mana into this and it does nothing. And like obviously with Kalitas, it's almost like if you get to untap with Kalitas, you win the game. This
Mhm.
card isn't necessarily true for it, so I don't know. It's tough. The four mana spot is very contested. I don't think
Yeah.
it. I think maybe game one this would be slightly favorable as a balanced card over Kalitas, but like it's tough. Like I feel like Kalitas is so good in the matches where it's good, where this is probably like medium across the board.
Yeah, for sure. This is
Mm.
probably bad, but I kind of like it.
No, I definitely see an appeal to it.
Despite it being bad, I think it's very sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think for the blue cards, there's only one mythic I want to talk about, the Sanitary Illuminator.
yeah. This card is
I
very
think this card
interesting.
is probably very playable in Bond Spirits
Hmm. Yeah,
because
exactly.
it provides you with like decent card advantage because you can like you it's the same as the white one. You exile the card when this one triggers on attacks as well,
Hmm.
and you can play spells from the top of your deck that share the type with the cards you removed with this, but only once per turn.
Yeah,
So, but you can bypass this if you like hit a creature. You can bypass this with Rattle Chains, which is pretty sick.
that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I don't have that much to say about this. Like, I'm not an spirits expert, but I think this card has to be at least a consideration for the deck.
Yeah, I mean the good thing about it is like so it gives spirits another like card that could be useful against Phoenix in terms of like it gives the deck a way to attack the graveyard in a way that doesn't basically
You
feel
don't waste a
like
card on it, right?
yeah, you don't have to waste a card on like whatever the 2/1 that you had to exile, you had to sacrifice it to exile the graveyard. This one is just like an incidental card, but good abilities on top of it. The
Yeah.
the graveyard exile is just a side
This is the
effect
kind
of
of
playing the
card
card.
that's better against decks like Arcanist, right?
Yeah, as
Because
well. Yeah, it's huge.
if you get to hit a Croxa with this, it's amazing.
Yeah, and the body's still like reasonable, and obviously its other effect is really good as well. Yeah, I definitely think this card is at least a sideboard option for spirits, maybe as a 1 or 2 of main as well.
Mm-hmm.
The only issue is like the 3 mana spot's heavily contested. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think it's an option 100%.
Yeah. So I don't think any of the red cards excites me a lot. People were talking about Chandra, but I think she is a bit weak overall.
I think a lot of the 3-mana Chandras have always been like definitely standard playable, but then that's about as far as she goes, to be honest, and that's fine. Like I don't really want Planeswalkers to warp every format all the time. I think like Sorin gets Pioneer vibes potentially, but Chandra definitely seems like um more often not likely to be in the standard sets. I mean, especially like 3-mana Planeswalkers get so much worse once they released Lurrus, in my opinion. A lot of these
I'm not really sure, but because like if this Planeswalker was decent, it could be really good in the mono red deck.
yeah,
But
but
she's
there's a
not really
reason.
good. Like she doesn't do anything well, right? She
Yeah,
doesn't draw cards that well.
there's also a reason why the mono red deck isn't played that much, right? Because it just falls into like the ultimate prey category of aggro mid range in Pioneer, and it just never is. It never does well because like there's so many decks that can go over the top and take advantage of those strategies. Like we're never really going to be in the meta anymore where like it's just mono burn, or very unlikely that
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be the case. So these
Yeah,
decks have
that's
never,
definitely true.
yeah, these decks never really find their home in the meta, and that's why they're not played often.
Yeah, I could see that. But like if you suddenly get a 3-mana Planeswalker, that's good. Maybe that's the shot in the arm you need to be actually
Yeah,
competitive.
no, I definitely agree with that as well.
But
Also,
that's
like,
not the case with this. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and also sometimes you just want to play a deck you want to have fun with as well. Like, so it's definitely an interesting card for sure.
Yeah. Like if instead of this, like I don't know, making mana, it's shocked something. I think this card is suddenly very good if
No,
you
yeah,
could actually interact to the board. But yeah, as it stands, it's maybe a card that you sideboard against control in some weird deck.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but that's about it. It's the green mythics are kind of underwhelming as well. I want to give a shout out to the Cemetery Prowler.
Yeah,
I
shit.
think I
Mhm.
think this card is really well stated and it has also incidental graveyard hate. So I think this card is just solid, but I don't know where this would play.
Yeah, I think there's just so many like buffed 3-mana green creatures now. Like, I don't really know where you'd play either. Like, the 4 toughness is great though, but like especially in Pioneer when red decks are beginning to dominate. I don't really know, to
Yeah.
be honest.
You could maybe play this in the Winota deck because
Yeah,
you have the Tovolar to take advantage of this being a wolf.
yeah, and like,
But
yeah,
it's
maybe.
pretty sketchy to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it has all the right words, but like where would you play something like this? Because like it has an interesting clause as well because it reduces the cost of spells that share the type with the cards you exiled.
Yeah,
So this could be like something that actually supercharges your deck.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Like, it's definitely an interesting clause. Like, I think like these cards are always really hard to evaluate as well because you never can really truly see the bigger picture with a lot of these specific cards that have new
Yeah.
niche texts on them.
Yeah,
So,
I was working on a Willow Guys deck like last month, and
of course.
this card is kind of sick with that
Hmm.
because you could eat your own graveyards and to grow this Willow Guys and make your creatures cheaper.
Hmm.
So maybe there's something there. Like some pieces are going for the graveyard deck, but yeah, I just keep an eye on this. It's a pretty good card, I think.
What do you think of Cultivator Colossus?
Oh, this card is probably really bad, but there's combos with it, I think, right?
Yeah.
I
What
saw
like?
I saw people talking about this, like you draw your whole deck or something.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's a 7-mana card. Even if it wins the game when it enters play, it's still a 7-mana card. Right?
What? So are people saying is that like a kind of Thassa's Oracle or Jace Wielder kind of combo with it?
Yeah,
Okay. Is there a way to cheat this into play? What was that like? Big collected company card.
Storm the Festival, that doesn't hit this, I think.
Right, okay. Is there any way we can cheat this into play? And Pioneer.
Genesis Ultimatum?
Okay.
Okay. Put Genesis Ultimatum this into play, maybe.
Yeah, would this not combine well with what's the Renin 7 card?
Renin 6? Oh, Renin 7, yeah. Yeah, like this card is definitely something really powerful, but if you have to be winning the game when you cast this, I think. Because otherwise it's a 7-mana big creature that's not good enough.
Yeah, so what? When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card onto your hand from your hand onto the battlefield tapped.
If you do, draw a card and repeat, so...
So you draw a card, and if it's a land card, you put it into the battlefield, yeah?
Yeah.
So what combos can you do with this with in Pioneer?
So I'm not actually sure how that works because I think one of the ones I saw was in Modern because of like you put a bounce land into play,
Okay, right.
but that doesn't even work that well. But I don't know. Some people were brewing this, but it's probably just going to be jank, to be honest.
What's the land? What's the land? I'm sure there's a land where you pay like 2 mana, you can return it to your hand in Pioneer. Like a colorless land.
Return to your hands.
I think it was either in like Eldraine or like Innistrad.
Oh, that one you can return from graveyard to play. I think that's the one you're talking about, right?
All right. Okay. Right.
I don't know. This probably doesn't work that well.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting though. It might end up with interesting situations, but cool.
Yeah, I think that's it for the mythics. Like
Yeah.
there's only quite a few that are worth mentioning.
Yeah.
So moving on to the rarest here. I'm going to start with white. Yeah, let's go with white. We have the Welcoming Vampire, which I don't think it's insane or anything, but it deserves a mention. So 3-mana 2/3 flyer. Whenever a creature enters play that has 2 power or less, you draw a card. It triggers only once each turn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think this card. If this card was a spirit, it would be insane, but it's a vampire, so it's still probably pretty good in a company deck as a sideboard option.
Yeah. I quite like it. I quite like it as well. I think it's perfectly reasonable. I wonder if we get 2-colored vampire decks now going forward. That's something that'd be interesting to see after this set's released.
Yep. I think the only other white cards worth mentioning is Talia, Guardian of Saban. Probably the best card in the set for Pioneer.
Oh yeah. This is an insane card. I can't believe this card's getting printed in Pioneer.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked as well.
I mean, it's probably on. What do you think would be more impactful, this or Snapcaster Mage?
I think Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah.
Because blue it's a bit unbalanced with the other colors.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, I just realized you could Snapcaster Mage dig through time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, imagine how good blue black control would be with Snapcaster Mage. Holy shit.
A lot of decks would be very good with Snapcaster Mage, mate.
Yeah,
true.
True.
Yeah, so like I think Talia is very good because of that. It's bringing a powerful card to the format in a color which was kind of needing it, and it's not a generic card that you can put in every deck. It takes a bit of that building constraint.
Yeah.
Playing a lot of creatures, so I think it's pretty good.
I also like the fact it's a human, so like Winota doesn't just get a free replacement for Voice of Resurgence. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think this card is going to go in a couple decks, and it's going to make them like the human decks and the company decks were really close before. I think this is probably going to push them over the edge into playable round
Hmm.
for sure. Like it's that kind of powerful card that can do that.
Is this the green white human company deck? Because I can see that.
I mean, I think they have the Lurus deck as well, right? The just white winning humans.
Oh yeah, like the fact that like you can't cast a Wrath on turn 4 now, especially with blue white control, is gonna be this. This is the kind of card that's just gonna push blue white control out of the format. Like this card is just so good.
Yeah, and you can
This is
also play cards like Dauntless Bodyguard and cards like that, depending on your
yes.
deck, to make life really annoying for your opponent.
If humans, which inevitably will become popular, like blue white control's gone. I cannot see blue white like blue white
And
controls.
that's kind of nice, right? Because then you start shifting the balance towards blue black more because now Fatal Push is suddenly very good.
Oh yeah, Fatal Push is insane, and then Spikefield Hazards. Well, remains to be played because Phoenix is obviously probably not going to go anywhere anytime soon. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a nice one. Changes a lot.
Yep. I think that's it for white cards.
Yeah, I mean, White
Mm,
barely ever produces anything good, although this is insane. But apart from this, yeah, I don't really see anything else in the rare slot.
Yeah, so I think blue as well only has one card I want to talk about,
Okay.
and that's a maybe the Hull Breaker Horror.
Hullbreaker Horror, yeah.
Yeah, it's the newest addition in the long line of 7 mana monsters that can be countered.
Yeah.
But this one is pretty nasty, I think, right?
Oh, I mean, it's 7 mana, can't be countered blue creature yet. It's always gonna probably win the game if it resolves. Maybe you cast a spell, choose up to one turn type spell you don't control. Okay. Turn target non-land permanent to its owner hand. Yeah, this is.
So it turns all your spells into remans and all your spells into bounce spells. Notably, you can bounce itself to protect it if you want.
Oh geez, I just didn't put two and two together yet. Remand spells, so like you can just basically it can't be countered, and you basically get to counter every opponent's spell basically. But you,
Yeah, this is pretty nasty.
yeah, this card's insane. This
It
card
kind
is
of has Coma vibes where they play this and you have to kill it, on the spot, otherwise you lose.
yeah, and it's flash as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this card is gonna be getting this is gonna bring back blue black control. I tell you, Claudio. This
And the
and
cool the cool thing is that you can play this in other decks other than control, right? Because you could play this in the Ashok style of deck where it's a green pile. But
true.
yeah, but because you have the mana to play this pretty early and you can leverage some ship spells to take over.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, no, this
Like if
card's
you
quite
play
sick.
this into Auron's Epiphany or something like that, it sounds so disgusting.
Oh my god, yeah. No, insane. Another insane card
Yeah.
for blue in the top end. It's just nice to have another big fat top end creature in Pioneer. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is pretty good.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's it for blue if you don't have anything.
No, I don't. There's nothing really that interests me in blue, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's get
So
into
black?
probably the. Yeah, black looks like one of the best colors, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so black I have a couple mentions here. We have the Headless Rider.
Yeah, this card is
It's
pretty
another
cool.
it's a pretty cool card. It calls back to Zatrid Necromancer, if you
Hmm.
guys know that one. It's another pieces for the zombie deck. Like it's getting cards over time. Is it going to be good this time?
It's close to being good, right? It's like on the
Yeah.
edge. It's kind of the same as humans. Like humans and zombies are both got very, very close to being like very like a good deck. So it wouldn't surprise me if some of these allow it to go over the edge.
Yeah, like I think you need one more good one drop, like a Grave Crawler style card to be truly
Yeah,
good.
I mean, Champion of the Parish was a good one, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good, but I think it's still not there because if you have the Champion of the Parish and Crypt Breaker, and besides that, like a bunch of 2-1s,
Mm-hmm.
that are not that good. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe something else that's actually good. Because you have to
Yeah.
play some stinkers to fill out your deck. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like this is a 3-drop. Vampire Zombies had a lot of 3-drops before, so it's
That's
not the
also true.
problem. It kind of has the spirits problem.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the next one is Bloodvile Purveyor, the Fermona Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is worth mentioning because it's a giant creature.
Oh yeah, it's a 5/6 flying trample. It's
Yeah. It has
yeah.
the downside of giving the opponent blood tokens,
Mm-hmm.
but like this is impossible to beat for like red decks. It's so big, right?
It's not impossible. Like I've seen Soulscar Mage take out big fatties before, but yeah, it's very tough to like attack through, right?
Yeah, especially because you can grow this with Caritas and has trample.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty nasty.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I could see this. So, but this is bad against black, right? So I could see this being a good sideboard card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Another
Yeah,
one, another one for the vampires.
yeah.
Um.
Mm, and yeah, I think the last black card I want to touch upon is the Path of Peril.
Yep.
It's a 3-mana source is destroy with cleave, right? This is one of the new mechanics. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
we talked about the card with cleave yet.
No, we
So
haven't.
yeah, for 3-mana you get kind of an infest effect. It kills all the creatures with cost 2 or less. And for
Yep.
60 is Wrath of God, right? So
Yeah.
but
So I
it
mean,
turns into a black-white card. I think it's the kind of card I would be happy to play in the sewer deck I was playing a couple weeks ago.
I like
Kind of
it.
nice.
Yeah, I like it. I think like it takes away the issue I've always had with cards like what's the cards like Drowning Sorrow with the same effect as Drowning Sorrow is when you're playing against decks like Burn, it's like really shit on the draw sometimes because like they have like a bunch of 1/2 prowess creatures with like a mana open and you just like are just too scared to pull the trigger because like all they need to do is like fire off a spell and your thing does nothing. Whereas this just gives you a different angle because you just cleanly destroy them. Obviously, you still have cards like um, Boros Charm, etc., but you're kind of okay trading that for a big fat burn spell, I guess. But like, yeah, this is a nice one for sure.
Yeah, it's nothing special, but I think it's kind of neat when you have the flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Uh, Honestly, I think the red cards are all bad.
Hmm.
All the red rares are bad. I don't have anything that catches my eye here.
No, I've got nothing to say about the red either, to be honest. As I
Yeah.
said, I liked a few of the black cards, and that's the red's like not really impressed me that much. Um, what do you think of that card in black though, Demonic Bargain? I always feel like it's one of these cards that like looks really awkward on the first, but then like could potentially see play in some kind of weird like combo deck.
Hmm.
Probably not. It's probably too.
So my question is, you have Green Tutor in Pioneer, right?
Yeah.
For you to be playing this over Green Tutor, you want to be like exiling your deck for some reason.
Yeah.
Like if you can exploit this with Tassa's Oracle, maybe.
Yeah, but I don't think this Anthas's Oracle alone is good enough or consistent enough. No, it's
Yeah, for sure. I also don't think that, but yeah, for this card to be to play, it would take like some very weird scenario.
yeah, because you'd have to like exile, like you'd probably have to like name Demonic Bargain with it, and then exile 13 cards, and then play Demonic Bargain again. But you also have to hit it within the top 13 cards.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it seems a bit whatever.
yeah.
So yeah, so on to green then. Let's talk about green. Is there anything in green that you're excited about?
I don't think so. There's like a card that's probably good in standard. Like there's a kind of the Ulvenwald Oddity,
Yeah, it
but
seems reasonable.
Pioneer has a questing beast, so
Yeah,
this
it's
is
not as
just a
good.
nerfed questing beast.
Yeah, it's not. It's just what about the abundant pack leader, ascendant pack leader, the one drop, the 2/1 wolf.
Hmm. This is kind of a card for for a werewolf deck if it ever
Yeah, but
exists.
the issue is like you'd rather just be playing mana dorks for 1 mana, right? To like ramp into your big spells faster than playing like slightly aggressive statted like 1 drops, right?
Yeah, it
Like,
kind of depends on your deck, I suppose.
but I even feel like that the mono green aggro deck still want to play elf into like the 5/4 steel
Yeah,
champion.
it's pretty tough to justify playing something like that when you can be playing devotion. If that kind of deck is good, devotion is just going to be more powerful, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, maybe like the Hamlet. There's another card that maybe could play. Hamlet Vanguard.
yeah,
It's a human with wards 2, and it's a 1/1. It enters with 2 counters for each non-token human you control. So you can company into a big human basically with
yeah, end of
wards.
turn and potentially just smacking for a lot of damage, but it doesn't have trample,
Yeah,
right? It's kind of awkward. Like,
yeah, it doesn't. But I think that like this is a card I would consider to be good if you could actually play a humans deck in Pioneer.
yeah,
I mean, like in the style of the modern deck. But
hmm
I don't think you can do that yet. I don't really like to justify playing Talia's Tenements and other bad cards just to play humans. I would want like something stronger.
yeah. I get it. I agree as well.
Yeah, like Champion of the Parish and maybe I don't know Noble Hierarch, something like that. That
Yeah,
would want like makes you want to play humans.
yeah, and make it easy to cast spells like Reflector Mage, etc. Like, yeah, just basically
Because
like,
humans have somewhat of the problem of zombies. You have a lot of good and excellent 3 drops, but your early plays are locking.
yeah, your early plays are definitely mediocre at the moment.
Mhm.
Although I don't know, I think Thales the Tenant's pretty cool, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from. So should we move on to the uncommons then?
Yeah, we can just touch upon some of those here. There's not that much.
Yeah, of course.
Um, so let's take a look here at the white cards. Yeah, they printed a variant of Selfless Savior. It's one. I'm just mentioning this card because it's a human. It's a 1/1 with vigilance. Olenbox Escort.
hmm
A 1/1 with vigilance that you can protect a creature. Like it gives lifelink and indestructible to a creature, but only if it has a +1/+1 counter.
Mm. Yeah, it's not as good as the 2/1, right?
Yeah, it's not as good as the 2/1, but you kind of have some counter synergies. You have Talia's Lieutenant and Aspirant.
hmm
So this is a card you could reasonably play if that deck wants that kind of effect. But
Yeah.
just yeah, it's a 1 drop with some X attacks. Nothing
Yeah.
amazing, but could get the job done if you need that.
Yeah, it seems quite reasonable.
Yeah, but I think that's it for white. Do you have anything that you saw that
No, like it's just
sorry?
like there's not really there to be fair.
Yeah,
Um, Sanctify, destroy target for a shaman, you gain 3 life.
yeah,
Um,
that's kind of okay, but yeah,
I think it's kind of like reasonable to bring it against like if you're a white deck and bringing it against burn, right? Like get rid of Eidolon or like the Roiling Vortex. But
yeah.
then like there's a potential they can just stop you from gaining
If
life.
you want this against burn specifically, I think this is better than Light of Hope because gaining the
Yeah.
life is relevant.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
other Light of Hope is probably a better card.
Yeah, I think Sanctify is another one of those. Maybe see it as a one-off in a sideboard somewhere. Like, definitely get behind that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Moving on to blue here. Blue is a lot more interesting, actually.
yeah.
Would say you have, let's start from the top here. So you have the Cobalt Lancer, which is a card that could go into my Willow Geist deck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a 1 mana 3/3, and you have to exile a creature from your graveyard to cast it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can pay 4 to exile this from your graveyard and draw a card, which is pretty nice overall.
Yeah, I quite like it.
Yeah, like you could do stuff with this. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
Uh, so there's also Wash Away, which I think it's quite good. You could say this card be playing a lot, depending on the meta game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a card with Cleave that's quite neat. It's 1 mana to counter target spell that wasn't cast from the owner's hand,
Mm-hmm.
and you can pay 3 to just be a cancel, right?
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool.
It's definitely a
It's
nice card.
yeah.
Like, it's definitely cool against like Rakdos Arcanist, but
It's kind of
um
good against like Bring to Light, for example, because you can tap low and hold up just a blue mana to counter what they get with the Bring to Light.
yeah, because
It counters card from Fertile.
yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. I don't think it's gonna beat the sideboard slot, like, because I think a lot of the cheap interaction post board for most blue decks is pretty much like taken up by Mystical Dispute, and I don't think there's going to be a card
Mhm.
anytime soon that's ever going to replace Mystical Dispute in the sideboard. But it's definitely another
Yes, but
option.
like if you're, for example, if you're playing, for example, Blue Black Control,
Hmm.
this card can be way better than Sinister Sabotage if the meta game is right. So you could play this instead.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat and could see play, but it needs things to go its way for it to be really good. But I think
Yeah,
it's the power level is there.
yeah, I definitely think it's situational, but it's not too situational that it's not worth playing potentially.
It's like those narrow sideboard cards, right? Like what's the name of the card? It's 1 mana to counter a colorless spell.
Oh,
The name escapes me.
ceremonious rejection.
Ceremonious Rejection. Yeah, it's like the card is very powerful but it's narrow at the same time. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
not going to see it all the time. You know.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, pretty neat. Next we have the Chaser Drake, a
Hmm.
card that was revealed by our friends the first pioneers.
Yeah. So, yeah, draw a card when yeah, it's kind of gives you the vibes of the
This
Boros
run,
feather
right?
deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is pretty cool because it goes well with auras and it goes well with pump spells. So if you're playing like blue white auras deck, this could be really good.
Could there not be like a blue red prowess deck that could see play?
Hmm. You could play this with Arcanist, right? And like Titan
Yeah.
Strength, cards like that. That could
Yeah,
be
that's
that
what I'm
could be
thinking.
something.
Just like a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of like 1 mana wizards, and then your 2 drops would be like, yeah, Arcanist and Drake.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a new card as well. That's a pump spell. It's 1 mana. It gives trample, and it draws a card for each copy of that card in the graveyard.
Hmm.
So it kind of works well with this. You start drawing a bunch of cards. You can play like dive down to protect your guys. Yeah, it's kind of could be like a Auras card or a tempo card.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Yeah, I definitely think it will see play somewhere. It's
Yeah,
definitely
you could play like Selfless Savior turn 1, turn 2 this, and it's like what's up, opponent?
or play mono blue flyers and get
Yeah,
curious
Monocle
obsession on.
Flyers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think this card is pretty cool. It could spawn some new archetypes.
mm. And then we've got Thirst of Discovery, which is also an interesting one.
Yeah, I thought this card was amazing, but
And then it's Basic
that's
Land, yeah.
yeah, it's basic lands. So
So
reading the cards, explain the cards.
yeah, probably not that playable.
Yeah, and I think there's only one more card I want to talk about, which is
Yep.
the Geistlight Snare.
Mhm.
It's a 3 mana monolith that can cost up to 1 mana if you have a spirit and an enchantment.
Yep.
So I think this card is kind of tailor made for the deck we hate the most, the Mono Blue Spirits deck.
Oh no, it's the cringe.
Yeah, because
Oh,
this
that
going
card's insane.
spirits turn 1, obsession turn 2 with this up sounds pretty nasty.
Oh, that's insane. Mono Blue Spirits is the best deck in the format already. Jeez. It's not even close, is it?
Yeah, because I think this is maybe better than something like Spell Pierce that the deck used to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just an upgrade for the deck, I think. Is it going to make the deck finally good? Probably not, but
No.
I hope
Yeah.
not. You're
I'm
right.
not too convinced. I'm not too convinced. But no, that card's definitely an interesting one for sure.
So let's see here. I think that's it for blue. Black has some interesting ones as well.
Okay.
You have Red Fugue,
Mm-hmm.
which is very similar to Inquisition of Kozilek.
Oh yeah.
How yeah, how good do you think this card is going to be? Because
Um.
some the thing that's kind of appealing for me in this card is that you can play this alongside Thoughtseize, and it's kind of a good card spell against Lurus.
Yeah, I feel. Although I would say I feel like with this card, you would basically, if your opponent, say you played it main and your opponent revealed Lurus, yeah, you'd snap it off. But like, I feel like you would never cast it for 1 mana against like a non like semi aggro deck like Spirits if like my opponent didn't reveal Lurus or I knew exactly what
Mhm.
was in their hand.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and this is kind of weird because it doesn't work well with Arcanist
Hmm.
because you can't cleave it when you cast it for free. But I think this card is probably good enough to see play at least in that deck.
Yeah, I definitely think it's another one. Weird that they've printed a 1 mana discard spell like this that's like actually like borderline very good.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done that in a while. Like they've kind of played it relatively safe, but this one
Yeah,
like
all the discard spells lately are like 2 mana plus, right?
yeah, and this one they've kind of pulled the power level up a little bit here.
Yeah, I think this is like a neat flexible card because you can play it for very cheap and not take damage against aggro, and you can just suck it up and play 3 against mid-ranger control.
Yeah, I
So,
like the card a lot. I think this card's very, very interesting and potentially very good in Pioneer.
hmm yeah, I think that there's one more card I want to talk about here. It's the Hellstinger.
Yep. Yeah, it's another
So,
one.
yeah, so this card has some things going for it. It's like very good to hit off Collected Company.
Hmm.
So it goes really well with cards like Catacomb Sifter, Cauldron Familiar, Gilded Goose even. And it's a zombie. It's a zombie scorpion.
Yeah, I
So
think like this could be very good in Jund.
yeah, that's like where I went as well. But the issue with that is that I don't know what to cut to play this.
Probably the top end, honestly.
Uh,
I don't know. I feel like you'd
I
play a
think
more.
this could be really good. Like the style of deck Ekros was playing, like the green black food deck with
Yeah,
Mythic Massacre.
yeah. I also think you could potentially play like a more Jund mid-range deck instead of focusing on Bolas to Citadel and maybe playing like
Go back to food to play with.
yeah. This could
Okay.
be. You could potentially see it there because it just allows you to play like a decent mid-range plan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fairly well statted creature as well, so Yeah, I quite like it. It looks good.
Yeah, and you can also, this is like a signing blood effect. So if you need to burn the opponent, you have that option. It's not going to be that relevant, but it's
Yeah,
really nice.
that's what pushes it over the edge for me, to be honest. Like that utility is insane, especially in Jund, because you normally get your opponent into the single digit life categories, and sometimes you're only like
This is
a
like a
couple of
burn
points
spell you
off.
can top deck.
Yeah,
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 I can
yeah.
say this.
So yeah, like this card's really cool. I really like it, and it will almost certainly see play in Pioneer. I think it will.
Yeah, I think this is
So
pretty strong for an uncommon, like really
it's
good.
probably one of the best uncommons in the set, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think alongside the discard spell, it's like the black uncommons look insane, and obviously you have Hero's Downfall printed in common as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But
I started playing when this card was in standard, and it was one of the best
it
cards in
was
standard, not even close.
it was a $15 on rare, wasn't it? Like it was $15 for Hero's Downfall.
Yeah, I don't actually remember the price, but like this card was really good. And you see, these days we have Murderous Rider, so that card it's so weak in comparison, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Which is
yeah, I
good.
think. Uh-huh.
Which is good because I feel like they had to make removal a bit better because the creatures were getting too good.
No,
Um,
definitely. So let's see. I think that's it for black. Looking at the red cards, the red cards are kind of underwhelming as well. I think
yeah,
red has been really shafted this set.
yeah. I mean, that's fine. Like Reds had a lot of good sets and been powerful in a lot of other ones. Like it's okay. Like having to lower the power level of a non-white.
Color.
Yeah,
Yeah, but is it that fair to say that the red cards suck when it got like red has a staple card already in like the Flame Blast Bolt. It's a power crept magma spray.
oh yeah, that card. Oh my god, I'm really happy about this card. I feel like it hitting Planeswalker is just like for Phoenix as well. Like just having a card that incidentally can hit Narset is really nice,
Mm-hmm.
and exiling the creature as well. Yeah, Magma Spray with that. Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah,
fan
it's
of it.
much like when they printed Play with Fire, right?
Yeah,
A worse version of that card saw play, and this is the same. This is an instant staple. Magma's places play, and this is going to replace it.
yeah, exactly. I feel like they needed to do that though. I felt like the non-lightning bolt removal spells in red were too limited in power level, and they
Mm-hmm.
needed to really bridge the gap a little bit. But obviously, lightning bolt's too good.
I think
Like
this is
fuck.
just modern removal, right? Because you see a lot of cards that only hit creatures hitting planeswalkers as well these days. Like you
Yeah,
have Scorching Dragonfire and cards like that.
yeah,
So
exactly. They're because like the issue we have right is like cards like shock and stuff are too weak, but like cards like lightning bolt are far too powerful. Like
mhm.
not even like remotely close to being um like it's like basically
Removable.
yeah, because you'd have to just like if you're printing lightning bolt, you're basically saying like swords to plowshares is playable at this point. Like it's just yeah, it's just far too powerful, far too good. I don't think we'll ever see lightning bolt in Pioneer unless crazy things happen and everything else gets power crept.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that one.
Like I would be happy like because there's cards that I definitely think could come into the format like Mana Leak. Like I think Mana Leak is reasonable enough. Um, although is it? I'm not sure actually. No, I
Yeah,
think Mana.
I
Hmm,
think I like the counter spells costing 3 for the most part because it's less of an investment to tap out and play some threats.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that it's not like the control decks need that much help these days. Like they're pretty decent.
yeah. Like sensors, like basically like it's free to punish opponents trying to tap out aggressively.
Yeah.
So
You have to also let the possibility of decks getting under the control decks as well. Like, it's like part of the game, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I think that's it for red. Just a single card that's it's like super strong.
Yeah, and a
Um,
great addition to the format.
yeah, I don't think there's any green card that I want to talk about here. If I'm
No.
not mistaken. Yeah, there's one enchantment that I think they played a bit too safe with this, but it has the potential to be pretty strong. It had at least. It's the Crawling Infestation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, on your upkeep you mute your cards, and whenever one of my creature cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you make a 1/1.
Mm-hmm.
But the catch is that this only triggers one each turn. This was giving me strong Bridge from Below vibes.
Yeah, it's not good as it. It's 3 mana as well. Like, I'd expect
Because if
this.
this was not capped at once per turn, I think you would have a really strong card in your hands. But
Yeah, I think they've made it 1 mana too expensive for its effect.
yeah, you see this a lot of time. This line of text once per turn in a lot of cards in the set. You see a lot of restraint from wizards, which I guess is better than no restraints.
Mm-hmm.
I can deal with like bad cards for the most part, so it
Oh
doesn't.
yeah, yeah. Me too.
Doesn't
Me
hurt.
too.
Yeah, so I think that's it for the monocolored cards. We can move on to the gold ones.
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
Uh,
Let's do it.
yeah. So let's see here what's worthwhile mentioning.
What do you think
Uh,
of Edgar Charmed Groom? The one that just never dies.
the one that never dies. Yeah, I think I'm higher on this card than other people because this is the kind of card that can win the game by itself in a very slow fashion. But if you're playing against a deck that can exile this, like it's going to stay there forever. So
Card's insane. Card looks pretty insane. Like it
yeah,
just
but it's a
doesn't
black
go
white
away.
vampire. Where would you play this? That's kind
Black
of
white
the question.
vampires.
Yeah, is it?
Mm,
Yeah, I could see this. Maybe if you are in the market for Blood Bottom of Scopa for some reason, you get to play this as well.
yeah, I think the card's pretty good. I mean, the card's insane, right? But like, I think it's just is it good enough to like make vampires playable? Like black white.
That's a good question.
Mm.
I guess that it's probably not, and that's not a fault of Edgar for the most part. I think that's the fault of the lands because if you're playing mono black, you have to like your mono base is so amazing because you get to play castle, you get to play the creature lands, Mutavault. Yeah, like the presto going 2 colors is not that your mana gets inconsistent, is that you lose all the amazing utility lands.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and if you are playing a second color, especially in mono black, you need a really strong reason for that.
True. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
so
sure how good that
it's a
card
neat
is.
card, but I'm not sure where you like if it's enough to pull vampires away from being mono black.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, I think a card that could maybe do that is Olivia Crimson Bride.
Yeah, Olivia's pretty insane. Although 6 mana is so expensive.
Yeah, because you can cheat this into play with Soaring, right? So
Oh,
the thing that she does is that she's a reanimate. She's like a Through the Breach in some aspects. She reanimates creatures, so the effect is pretty strong, to be honest.
mm-hmm.
But is it worth to put this into your deck? Hmm. That's the question. Because it's important to note as well that if you reanimate a legendary vampire, it's just going to stay there because you're always going to reanimate a legendary vampire.
Yeah,
You don't need to keep a living play.
so yeah, reanimate Calatus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Like she's She's like 6 mana for a reason. The effect is pretty strong.
Yeah. She's really good. Can't think of anything else. Any other? Yeah, this is like insane top end that could really
Yeah,
push
like you
into
could put like Champion of Dusk into play if that died later in the game. You could also try to build a dedicated reanimator deck with this, which is probably not good, but you can explore some options in deck building, which is I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's see here. What else do we have? We have Eruf. I think that's how you pronounce it. Tormented Prophet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do with this card, but the ability really busted to me. Like turning every draw into like a light up the stage. If you're trying to go off with a lot of cheap spells, this is a way to do it.
Mm-hmm. What about I don't know, with this card like combo with like Peer from the Abyss or something like that?
Mm,
Like,
I
because
think this works really well with like stuff like that makes mana and draws cards like Windfall,
mm-hmm.
maybe. Or if you're playing this in what's the name of the card? The 4 mana Timur enchantment that draws 2 cards whenever it plays a spell. Song
Song
of
of
Creation.
Creation, or something like that.
Yeah, like if you play Song of Creation, this and a bunch of zeros in your deck, you can draw your deck pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like if you play a 0, you draw 4, you exile 4 cards from the top, and
Mm-hmm.
how easy it is to chain that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it it sounds kind of easy to win the game on turn 4 if you play Eruf on turn 3 and Song on turn 4, and you play like Mock Sunbird to start the chain.
Right, we need to build this deck, Claudio.
It's kind of the weird combo deck that has too many pieces going on that never works. But
Yeah, you feel like
yeah.
5 or 6 cards that you need, yeah. The
Yeah,
not
but like the
sweet.
card is pretty powerful. I like that the body is pretty big as well. Like you don't see a body this good in this kind of creature, right? It's a 2/4. It's a pretty hefty body.
Yeah, and it's hard to remove. There's not really a lot of removal spells in Pioneer that can take care of this quite easily that are played right now. So yeah, interesting card for sure.
I keep an eye on this. Could be good at some points.
Mm.
What else do we have here? I think that's kind of it for the yeah. Oh, there's one card I want to mention. Halana and Alena partners.
Okay.
I think this gets a mention because it's a reasonable brew legend that you can play in the Bard class deck.
Oh yeah. We were talking about this. Yep. Beginning combat, put X1 counters on another target creature control where X. Yeah. This looks
Yeah,
pretty
this
good.
is
The
like
one
just
counters.
a reasonable beatdown card, right? That you can play in the brew deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I quite like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's another interesting slot. Like obviously the Bard class deck was a very interesting deck, but it's kind of fallen by the wayside, I guess. But yeah, it could come back.
Yeah, because mostly you have to play bad legends to support it, right? But as
Mm-hmm.
time goes on, you get better cards, and at some point the deck's probably going to get there. Because I think it's much like Winota. If you get to a point where you are just playing a okay game, and you also have this combo on top, I think that's the way the deck actually becomes good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Um, is that it for multicolored?
Oh, there's one more. There's one, actually one more. I think maybe it's the best gold card for the set,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of funny because I can't think right now of a deck that would play this. It's the Wandering Minds, the Flying Brain.
Oh, the flying brain. Yeah, looks disgusting.
Yeah, it looks very disgusting actually. Yeah, so looking at the 6 cards from the top of your deck and getting a non-land, non-creature card, it's really insane if you're looking for specific cards. Like, I don't know, if you're playing a Fires deck, for example.
6 is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, and like this combines well with Yorion. It's a flying creature, so
Yeah, it's
you
really.
could maybe play this in the Incarnation deck or some kind of Fires deck with Planeswalkers.
This card does look pretty insane. Not gonna play it Niv.
Play it in Niv. Maybe if you're playing 80 cards,
Yeah,
so you
it
could
could
play
be
this
Yorion.
as a glue card to improve consistency.
Mm-hmm.
It's an horror as well. It doesn't get bounced by Thing in the Eyes. Something that's quite relevant these days.
It's very relevant.
Yeah, I saw like Felix was playing Winota last week, and he was not playing just Parasentinel, he was playing Loan Dryad. And
Okay.
when I asked why, he said that it was an horror.
Oh my god. Yeah, the horrors. The
Yeah.
horrors are so important these days. Yeah, that card's insane. Yeah, this Wandering Mind could very well be played quite often.
Yeah, it's a bit
Um,
tricky because I don't know where I could play this exactly, but I think that it's pretty strong.
mhm.
Um,
What do you think of
when
Lantern?
you, huh?
Oh, sorry, I was moving on to artifacts there.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had anything you want to talk about.
Lantern of the Lost is a nice one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They just basically they basically print a bunch of 1 mana like exile artifacts, but they just like randomly like shuffle around the effects. So like
Mm-hmm.
this one, like you have to pay 1 mana to exile all graveyards, but then you draw a card.
Yeah, so I think this is stronger than Soul Guide Lantern if you're not playing Lurus.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you always get to draw your cards, you don't have to choose between exiling the graveyard. You also have to not care about your graveyard, so you can be playing Delve Spells,
Yep.
cards like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some decks playing this if you're playing maybe blue-white control and you
Hmm.
don't want to play Rest in Peace.
Hmm.
I don't know, but I think this loses out on Soul Guide Lantern, to be honest, because Soul Guide Lantern is played a lot because of Lurus.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. I don't know. It's a close one, right? Because the effects are so similar. Like they're very niche differences that the pros and cons are always going to be quite close. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, okay, it's definitely interesting. Um, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the lands are kind of like they're all like reasonable, right? Like Voldaren Estate might get played, but you just don't know yet, right?
Yeah, I think the state is nice because it opens up the. I don't think the deck is there yet,
Mm-hmm.
but it opens up the door for you to play black red vampires at some point if you
Yep.
get enough red card that you want to play.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I think these lands are less needed than are going to be less good than the other color pairings
Okay.
because these are the color combinations that have the fast lands, right?
Yeah. So I think these are kind of like not really that relevant in Pioneer. Like I'm sure there's a mana base that warrants like 1 copy of these or 1 or 2, but I'm not
Yeah,
really
like some
interested in
decks,
them.
if you are going to be to play those, like I would play the Jeskai lands in I don't know, like a Jeskai Transmogrified deck with
Yeah.
Yoro.
Yeah, exactly.
The black white land, I can play 4 of them in this sewer deck. Yeah, I think they're going to see play in some spots, but not amazing.
Yeah, they're not exactly fetch lands, are they? Like they're not going to get you super excited. Of course, they're probably going to see play at some point. But yeah, I can't really think of anything yet. But yeah, as you said, like transmogrified decks probably need them. And that's
Yeah,
it. Hmm.
and yeah, like some Asper decks, I don't know if you saw some people are trying to play Esper with Liar. So that's the kind of mid-range slow deck. So,
Okay.
yeah, if you're playing a slow mid-range deck in the colors of these lands, you probably want to pick up a couple. There's not much to be said.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I think that covers everything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we spent a good bit of time on this actually. It's like an hour and
Yeah,
20 minutes
so
in. So
yeah, I gave my initial impression at the beginning. What do you think about the sets since we have finished this?
I think it's perfectly reasonable. Like, there's a lot of interesting reprints that, are good for standard but don't really impact Pioneer such, and they've gone to make some interesting cards that will definitely see play, like the discard spell for 1 mana, the powered up magma spray. There's some things here and there. Like, there's definitely cards that are going to impact the format, but not necessarily warp the format, which is kind of what I want. Like, I don't want every set to completely like massively change things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't mind change just as long as it doesn't create imbalance. Like, because they've been printing ridiculous cards for a while now, and even like recently when they printed Expressive Iteration, it was kind of like, come on, like that card's clearly extremely good. And
Yeah, I like seeing them like. Of course, it's going to be hard to do every time, but I like them putting power uh in different spots, because it gives chance for new decks to arise, not just, oh, I'm going to make this existing deck more powerful.
yeah,
That's kind of boring.
yeah, I mean, I think Thalia is going to potentially have a big impact, but that's what I can see just now. We'll see what the rest of the cards do. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not too sure right now, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's it from me basically.
I think that we can close here.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, so that's Claudio and I's thoughts for the upcoming set. We will be producing more content on Patreon in the next coming weeks. I think Claudio's gonna work on something for this weekend, and then I'll continue on and I'll probably write a primer for a list that I'll be trying in the first opening week. So yeah, thank you once again for listening, everyone, and yeah, take it easy. Until next time, see you later.
Yeah, sounds good, man. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.